Well, today's video, folks, is a continuation of the process of making a really firm foundation and floor structure for my big home. Well, I've mixed a lot of bags of cement by hand, and it's pretty slow work, so I think I can come up with a faster method using a MacGyverism, or a Dawism, or an off-gridism, affordable desert livingism. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so I've got this ground auger that goes in for stabilizing mobile homes, is what it's designed for. Yeah, lovely. All right, I'm applying a thin strip of Gorilla Tape. There. Well, as they say, just add water. We'll see. I think I'm going to call that a fail. And I've got another one that's straighter, but I'm not convinced it's still a tool that'll work. So back to the hand mixing, because I'm not going to buy or rent a cement mixer for all the cement mixing I do. Way too expensive. Well, folks, I wasn't quite sure what to do with all the cavities in the cinder blocks. Well, I got thinking that it's such a great home for black widows and other creatures maybe to crawl in there. But in the end I decided I'll just fill these all up with cement and be done with it, and it'll be good and sturdy. Okay, my all-time record for hauling cement bags, 720 pounds. So that's the equivalent of 2 really big sturdy friends. So maybe not the best tool, but I'm going to use this to poke down in there and hopefully compact the cement down in there nicely. So this is my very last row that I have to fill in here, but as you can see, the big old beam here is in the road, so I'm going to have to deal with that. Time to crank up some senior power. And for my next stack, I'm going to wrestle a full-grown adult boar javelina to the ground with one arm tied behind my back. That's in the next video, though. One, two, three. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So now we're making some fun progress here, folks. This center 2x6 is screwed in place as a placeholder to squash this whole frame of the building in exactly to be 16 feet across.
So what we're going to try to do is square up all of the skids that we have and make sure that the 2 outside skids are exactly 90 degrees at all 4 corners. And then what we've done is we've actually measured from this outside of this skid to the outside of the skid at the other end. And we made sure that we were exactly 16 feet on it.
So it looks like that skid isn't quite clear to the end.
Yeah, we need to get her moved in 6 or 7 inches here, it looks. So if you can come up with a way to bump that in.
Oh yeah, I'm going to use my Canadian snowshoe hair kick. and you know, they've got big feet and they can kick hard. And yeah, I'm only 5'6", but sometimes I have to wear a size 11 boots, so I'm a Canadian snowshoe hare guy.
I always enjoy seeing what he's going to do. This will be something.
You ready, Ed?
You're 7 inches. I haven't seen it move.
Here we go.
Wow. 6.5.
How far we got left?
You've got 6.5 to go.
Okay.
4, 3, 2, 1. Half inch. Oh, you're there.
Super. Okay, what we got going on here, folks, we are measuring the whole length of this 40-foot long beam, and every 16 inches we're putting a mark. Why? Because there's going to be, wow, there's going to be 30-some joists that go all along here that are the base of my floor. So it's pretty simple. We just mark every 16 inches all the way along. So if you look really careful, you can see the pencil mark. Okay, exciting stuff. We're going to start putting the hurricane ties on the entire floor structure, and they're going to be used to hold all of my joists in place. Really cool. Hopefully I got enough of them. So to put all these in place, I'm going to be using one of my favorite screws of all times. It's called the Strong Drive Connector Screw from Simpson. And as usual, right in the box, Simpson gives you the correct bit you can use. I can't believe it. It actually is going to work. So I'm actually glad that happened. That'll just teach me right from the get-go that I need to be careful when I mount these joists in. Okay, last row of the day, and the job's done. Okay, and that job is, I'd say, pretty much complete. Okay, folks, you ready to play a guessing game? Is it for personal protection? Oh! Or how about a handy tool to help me dig through this tough dirt? And then I just attach a handle and it becomes really effective. Oh, and another hint, I have 10 of them. So if you think you figured this out, you can take a guess if you want. Leave it in the comments below. So, okay, we've got our ground stake in here, and there's going to be metal strapping that goes right up and attaches to this beam. So, in the event of a horrible windstorm or something, let's say, heaven forbid, happened, and the home started to move this way, the strapping would help prevent that, and I'll be putting on the strapping a little bit later. But what you don't want is this particular ground stake being pulled out of the ground. So that's where these stabilizer plates come in handy. And so what you do is you take and line it up so this particular ridge can fit snugly against the bar part of this ground auger and just pound it in. Simple as that. There, that should take care of that. So when I was just learning to put these ground stakes into the ground is so hard here, I thought I'd give everything a head start by digging for a ways and then putting the ground stake in. So of course that left a hole. So I'm going to cement all that in. But before I do that, I'm going to put stabilizer plates in these as well. Well, a couple of my subscribers said, you know, those Teflon coated frying pans can be bad for you if you ingest the Teflon coating. So yeah, I took all the comments seriously, so I'm getting rid of the pan. There, I think that's a very appropriate place for a Teflon coated frying pan. What do you guys think? Okay, so I figured out about 6 feet of strapping works good. So I've got 6 feet of tape out here. And then so I'll just come along here and measure it out. So let's see, right about here. And I'll just put a little crimp in it so that marks it. So I'm sure there's better tools to use to cut this than bolt cutters, but they seem to work for me. So I just crunch them together a few times and then see if it did its job. Yep. And I just wobble that back and forth a few times and boom, it's now cut. And of course what's really important is to take the cleanest end to shove through the nut and bolt assembly for the straps. Otherwise this won't go in the slot of the bolts. So I realized it'd be great to have what's called a pinch bar or a crowbar. I don't have one for whatever reason. But I did find this just laying around, and this is gonna work fine. I can just put a little pressure on that and then watch the level and see what it's doing. And then I'm going to take these things here. They're not real expensive at Lowe's. I think they're a little over $1 a piece, maybe a little more, and just stack them up and put them underneath the beams. That should work good. I think I'll lay them sideways. Now that we got those pieces of metal under there, then we got things nice and level. Okay, what I'm doing here, folks, is I noticed that when I was putting the strapping on the beams, as you tighten that strap, the beam kind of rolls a little bit. So that's not acceptable. So what I thought I would do is, even though these joists are not cut to size, by the way, I'll pull all these out after their job is done. Right now, their only job is to keep these beams from rolling when I tighten up the straps. Now, we'll slide the slotted nut and bolt assembly into the head of our ground anchor here. Like so. Then we'll try and get that guy back in there. So there we go. And you need to put it flush with the bolt itself, like that. So now it can catch just a piece of the strap enough to wind it around. That should do it. I'm just going to make a couple holes in it. A little slow going because it's metal. There we go, there's one. There's two. Now I will just eyeball it and try to determine if it's in a good straight line with the ground auger head where the strap's going to be attached. And just doing it by eye seems to work okay. And I think it's going to move over that way a little bit. So I'm going to try to wrap it around at least once so it has a good solid connection with the beam. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you need about 12 inches of strap here, and that looks about right. And then of course, now you take the slack off and then starting to tighten it up. And for this job, I've got a 15-16 inch socket and a ratchet and basic crescent wrench, or an adjustable wrench is called where I'm from. And again, it's just flush here is all you want. And what I've found is I can literally just grip the socket by hand, and it doesn't take a tremendous amount of hand strength. Now as I'm winding this on, I can see a problem, because what's going to have to happen is that to lock everything in place, this particular head of the nut assembly has to go into a slot here to lock in place. And I can see already that that might be a problem. So I better redo this. There we go. So I don't have any problems later on. Hopefully. We'll see. And that's going to wrap that 12 inches of slack in the strap around the slotted nut assembly. So I can feel it getting tighter now. So I'm going to slide this socket out enough so I can see what's going on, because I want to see when that part of the head of the nut, the square part, is lined up so that I can poke it through the hole in the head of this ground auger. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use this crescent wrench to tighten the bolt, and it should draw that bolt right into place. You can see where it's supposed to go with its twin down here. And I'm just going to help it and give it a little tap. There. And this is pretty tight. There's a point where if you tighten it too much, then it's almost impossible to put the assembly together. Now, as far as the strapping is concerned, that's usually done only for mobile or manufactured homes, but it is really, really windy here. And maybe I'm a little overcautious, but I know that the seasons are changing these days, and I think it's just getting windier and windier all the time. So, of course, I just want to make sure that all my hard work of building this home is not in vain. Well, just to be honest, I have to admit, I didn't think it was going to take so long just to build the foundation and floor section of the home. Seems like it's been ongoing for a while. But I'm hoping when it's done, it's really solid and done well. And then I can get to the fun parts of completing the walls and doing all kinds of other stuff. But that's a little ways down the road. Thank you so much, folks, for cheering me on with all of this, and just your wonderful comments, just absolutely fantastic. And all the gifts as well. Good night. I just can't believe all the gifts that I receive. It's just very, very humbling. So I really appreciate them, each and every one. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click the notification bell. That will let you know when my next video is coming up. And you can see more progress on the home I'm building here in the desert in southeast Arizona. Thanks again. See you on the next video.